So I'm gonna read you this fancy stuff that's on this paper, but then I'm gonna tell you what I think about it. Faye was born in Long Island, New York, but grew up in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, so that already makes her pretty awesome. She received an MA in Middle Education from Park University and a BA in Criminal Justice from Columbus State University. Faye recently retired as Chief of Military Police Investigation for Fort Benning, completing 35 years of public service in law enforcement. Faye is a public speaker. Her areas of expertise is the empowerment of women, prevention of domestic violence and child abuse, and the enlightenment of the highs and lows of social media, informing the public of the long-lasting impact of negative use by youth and naive adults. Faye is the author, creator, and instructor of the PSEET course, Prevent, Survive, Escape, and Thrive, a common-sense, victim-based self-defense course aimed at identifying personal vulnerabilities. The PSEET course has been instructed to thousands of women, men, and children in Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina. So I met Faye right here for this purpose. Mama Maddie, who had to slip out to WMS luncheon, brought Faye in a few years ago for one of our women's conferences. And she spoke on domestic violence and how we need to take care of ourselves and can care for ourselves and can get out of situations. And then since then, I've also heard her talk in the space of social media and how, there's this carbon footprint that we leave behind and what those impacts are. And so when I think about women, and I think about excellence, I see us in a number of spaces. I see us as moms, I see us as wives, CFOs of our homes, caregivers, in addition to being our own individual self. And oftentimes, we'll let our emotions get the best of us, and we will do things, or we will not watch closely our own children, or we won't give the necessary guidance and impact and care to our spouses. And then we leave behind these carbon footprints that later on in life, a mom of a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old pops up when they go to get their first job, pops up when they are trying to do other things in life, and it impacts them. And it doesn't matter how much the rule books as a person in HR says that we can't use social media to make hiring decisions. Reality says I can't unsee what I saw and I can't unhear what I heard. And so if I'm just surfing Facebook as a 49-year-old woman looking and laughing with my friends and I see something, and then your application comes across my desk, as much as I don't want to use that in a negative way to impact me, it is there. And then I'm also the niece of a couple of aunts that have been in domestic violence situations. That's what I remember from my childhood, is them being hit and beaten and mistreated. And to see them now on the other side, my heart jumps for joy when we have advocates around that help women understand what to do and where to go. So with that, I'm gonna let God use her, because I told her I'm not gonna box her in one or the other, but however he leads and guides her, I invite you to now receive. Thank you. Hello, 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 hello.
I know. 35 years in law enforcement. God has been good to me. Amen. I just retired again. Amen. I did 20 years on active duty for the U.S. government, and they had the good sense to hire me back doing the same thing that I did while I was on active duty and paid me twice as much. Don't get no better than that. I came back on at the entry level, and before I knew it, I was the boss again, chief. I said, they know not what they do. I have a branch full of men. Isn't that one? That's what's up. That's what's up. But that's not what I came to talk to you about. Excellence in family safety. But we could list 5,000 things that we believe are stumbling blocks in our family's way or something that poses a threat. But we're not going to let our minds run wild with us today. We're going to keep it, and we're going to tell it. I'm going to tell it to the internal and the external. But how many of you know if you fix the inside, the outside don't stand a chance?
All right.
So I'm gonna unbutton my little Kirk Franklin suit here. So I can move around. But if you fix the inside, the outside won't matter. So let's talk about internal threats. Can somebody tell me what is the #1 victim in the world? What is the one thing that everybody all over the world seeks to victimize? Come on. Say it.
Your body.
Close. Your body, children, women. Women are #1 on the hit parade. Whenever somebody wants to commit a crime against a person that they will not have to exert too much energy, you know who they choose? Us. But we have to ask the questions why. We have to examine that. So we're going to talk about family violence. 9 times out of 10, if a woman becomes a victim of a violent attack, it is someone she knows. Intimately. Meaning you've broken bread with them, probably told them you loved them a time or two, hugged and kissed them and gave them your money. Fact. In my 35 years of law enforcement, kept getting drugged back to domestic violence child abuse. I used to go to a meeting every Tuesday where I reviewed every domestic violence and every child abuse case that went on within our jurisdiction. And if you know anything about a federal jurisdiction, it does not have hard geographical lines. Literally, I would drag myself out of there every day and say, ugh, you just can't do it no more. Because the numbers kept rising. And they continue to rise. They're at a tipping point, especially in America. So we need to examine, why is that? Whenever I start to talk about an issue, I always say we have to do one thing. Number one, we have to identify it, right? We got to talk about it out loud. Got to lay it out there. Number two, we have to accept that it is us or it could happen to us. Let me see something. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your hand up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your hand up for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your hand up for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your hand up for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your hand up for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your hand. All those hands up, stand up for me. Go ahead, stand up. See these women standing? These many women will be a victim of domestic violence. Have a seat. Y'all heard I said it might happen. No, it will happen. Will happen. That's the reality of what we're dealing with. So let's examine it. Let's talk about it. Why is domestic violence still such an issue in the family today? Why is it?
We don't want to talk about it.
Say that again?
We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to expose it.
We don't want to talk about it. You're right. We don't want to expose it. True. But I think it goes a little deeper in that. We have to talk about the culture.
Right.
The culture. The culture that has been created that allows it to exist and grow.
Oh, so you think that we think it's okay for them to do it?
Ooh, yeah. You see, she leaned forward. Hold on, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so let me tell you right now. She's like, yes, let's talk about culture. Well, let's define it. Culture is what we value, right? As a collective group. So, I know that as women, we are not monolithic in our values. I understand. But in the spectrum of things, we are all about the same. So women, here's what we value. Number one, we value our beauty. Yes, we do. That's right. We value the love and attention of a man. Well, it's all right, we can say it. It's the truth. And we value our children. She cared for our children. Valuing these things don't make us bad. But over a period of time, the value that we place in these things has caused us to be conditioned to act and respond in a certain way to certain things. we've been culturally conditioned to be somebody's wife. We've been culturally conditioned to believe that our place is in the home, making the pot roast, washing the dishes. I mean, these are good things, it's not bad. But what has happened over a period of time is that the cultural conditioning has remained and the times have changed.
Right.
Y'all can hear what I'm saying? So we're upside down. But now, Mom, y'all, all these women, they got big jobs. Right? Work every day. But is she still expected to cook? Let me tell you a little story. My parents, y'all gotta keep me on track. My parents are 90, 91, and 89, and they are a hot mess. I just left South Carolina dealing with the good reverend. He told me to tell y'all that the greatest St. James Church of Somerville, South Carolina. Want to let me let y'all? He said, let them know. I said, Daddy, you can't go with him. He said, no, not this time, but next time. Thank God. My mother told me, I was a little girl. I said, Mom, what are you doing? She says, I gotta put these onions on. Every time I was around my mother, I smelled her hand. She always smelled like onions to me. Her hands always smelled like beef stew, right? Fast forward, I'm like, Mom, why are you always cooking onions? She says, look, listen. About 10 minutes before your daddy come home, I throw a piece of bacon in that pot and throw an onion in there and let it start frying. And that keep him shut down because he thinks something cooking good. Is what we're gonna have for dinner have onions in it? No. She said, whatever, that's what I gotta do. So he'll shut up. Go sit down somewhere. Right? Because she's been culturally conditioned to prepare the environment that was conducive to a harmonious household. Now let that sit on you for a while. Ooh. I got 10 brothers and sisters. 10 or 10. 5 or 10. I got 10. I grew up poor. Didn't even know I was poor. I did not know 2 little Debbie cakes came in one pack until I was 21 years old. All this time I thought hot dogs were this long. I said, you mean bread and square? And you don't try it? That's how poor. Didn't know it. Because my mother was great. Oh. I got 9 siblings, I told you that? You can't tell me I ain't the favorite. Now I heard one of my sisters saying the same foolishness the other day. I'm like, girl, shut your mouth. Don't nobody love you like they love me. But what I'm trying to show you is the cultural conditioning that went on. And it still goes on today. Now, both me and my husband are retirees. 21, 24 years. I went back, worked, but just doing what we got to do. 2 grown daughters. You know who you were walking in the house talking about?
What you cook?
What we gonna eat for dinner? Y'all forgive me, right? Woo! Sometimes I have to say, ooh, you in charge of your own stomach today. Okay. My husband will call me from the USS Crunchberry. That's his fishing boat. While I am at work in court and say, make sure you stop by the store and get me something dropped off that dock because we on the boat. Cultural conditioning. But by the grace of God, I married a man who loved me more than I love myself. I married a man who saw my self-worth when I didn't even know what it was worth. I married a man who didn't take advantage of the fact that I would give him anything he wanted. without putting a ring on it. Now that's just by the grace of God. Because it could have gone real wrong in the other direction like it does with so many of my sisters. I married a man who allows me to be a blazing fool 365 days a year.
And that is so true.
And supports me. My husband is my biggest support. I go in and say the biggest hair-brained skin. Baby, I'm about to sell the house. I'm going to buy four dogs and a cart. We're gonna have a circus. Well, baby, I think you can do it. God looks out for babies and food. Amen. But cultural conditioning has made us vulnerable to the environment that we live in right now. It is, society has told us that women should not let strangers invade their personal space. So therefore, when our personal space is invaded, we turn into a brick or a stone, or we start to thinking, I need to cut my purpose out, or other foolishness. What we don't think is danger. Women have been culturally conditioned to believe certain things. And I'm going to tell you this, and I don't mean any harm, but it's killing us. Let me talk to my black sisters. The strong black woman syndrome is killing us. It's a facade, it's fugazi, it's a trick, it's a falsehood, it doesn't exist. Those are things that you've been culturally conditioned for one purpose and one purpose only: survival. Think about that. The way we move in the world is so that we can survive. Did y'all hear what I just said? We haven't been culturally conditioned to rise, triumph, to claim victory. We've been conditioned to survive, to move from day to day. Well, let's just get through. My aunt dog, I got an aunt dog. This is how you know I'm from South Carolina. I got an aunt dog, Aunt Maybell. I got an aunt dog. Aunt dog used to say, "Oh, babe, we're just gonna get through it. See what's on the other side. We're just gonna." No, we ain't. But hey, she's been culturally conditioned to believe that. Family violence is real, and it is an epidemic. Family violence is a cycle. It's cyclical. And if you've ever been trapped in a circle, you know it's hard to get out of it. But here's the issue. If we don't, right now, accept the fact that we have to change our cultural conditioning. Y'all hear me? Y'all with me?
Yes,
we have to really accept it. We have to really say, change me, oh Lord.
That's it.
Make me more like you. You have to accept the fact that you have to change. But first you have to accept the fact that something's wrong. Every Sunday, y'all see y'all sisters. Y'all ask, I tell you, the church women, they'll ask you all kind of questions. Ooh, girl, you look so, that's a nice dress. You get that from Saks? Oh, girl, why would you be friends? I see y'all got that new Cadillac. Oh, that's nice, girl. They tell me y'all done move into that big old house over y'all. Girl, oh, is that a Junior bird? Michael Carr? Won't we ask those questions? Saddle up to you in 2.2 seconds. Ask you all kinds of stuff. But as soon as your sister comes to church with a discolored face and eye closed, lips swollen, bruises where bruises should not be. We pretend it doesn't exist because it would be impolite. Didn't you just ask her how much her dress costs? Our cultural conditioning has to change. We have to change the way we view family violence. First of all, there is nothing to be ashamed about. And we will shame women who get beat up on the regular. Won't we do? You oughta. Why don't you? You crazy for staying there. You mean to tell me you let that man beat you? My eyes go round and round in my head, but I hear it over and over again. These are the things that we, not men, these are the things that we say to each other. We condemn the victim for being victimized. Domestic violence is a cycle that is so strong and so gripping, it is almost impossible to fight oneself out. It starts like this. Small argument, push, shove, hit, separate, honeymoon phase.
Right.
Y'all know about that one? Ooh, I love a good argument. Because makeup is wonderful. Isn't it wonderful? Ooh-wee. I'm gonna get all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna get some new shoes. And then next week, what we're gonna do? Friday night, starting all over again. We're gonna get in an argument. We're gonna push, we're gonna shove. The violence escalates, and now you punched me in the eye last week. This week, you're gonna punch me in the eye and kick. Yeah. We separate in the honeymoon phase. Oh, it's sweeter now because I got one eye and my nose messed up. Good love. That's how you go here. Next Friday, guess what's gonna happen?
There you go.
Now we find it Wednesday. The cycle of abuse is getting shorter. You know why? Because the honeymoon phase is so sweet. Now I find myself initiating the fight. What y'all say about that? Well, have you ever seen a dog who hasn't been loved? Have you ever been with somebody who ain't been out of the house in a while and had to jump on you so you walk in the door? With my husband, he was going to school. When I come home, he ain't talking to no real people all day. As soon as I come in the door, he's like, hey, what you doing? Who'd you see? Who'd you talk to? Oh, God, you got to find something to do. That's what she becomes. Now, the abuser knows that she is waiting for that affection. Because now it has now become the only time she gets affection. So now she starts to initiate the fights so that she can get to the honeymoon phase. But what she doesn't take into consideration is that the violence escalates on each incident. Okay? Now this is the moneymaker right here. All domestic violent incidents end in death if there is no intervention. I've been in this field for so long, I've been able to track victims until their death. Because either they did not submit or would not submit to counseling, intervention, because it is a disease. It is a sickness that is curable. That is curable. The reason why they do the things they do, and the reason why they communicate the way they do, and the reason why they interact with each other, that's the only communication they know. My dad can't hear too well, right? He's a hot mess. Won't wear hair. My mom asked him to do things. He doesn't hear her, so she has to say it louder. And before you know, they're in a full-blown argument. I took her to the doctor last week. I said, oh my God, get your out of here. She said, hand me that bottle he said, I didn't leave nothing in the car seat. She said, you get on my nerve about that car seat. I was like, what they gonna do? What's going on? Why you gonna argue with me? That's the way they communicate. They call me on the phone and says, my mom called early, they always call me early in the morning. Your daddy done lost that key to the computer. I said, well, Mom, what you talking about? You know the key to the computer. I said, y'all know ain't no keys to computers, right? Y'all know on the Dell computer, the little on switch on the tower has a little like line through it? Well, I brought them an upright freezer at the same time. Y'all ever seen a freezer key? Yeah. It's round and it has that little, that's the computer key. Jesus, keep me there, bro. That's the way they communicate. But you couldn't separate it. Because they've been culturally conditioned to communicate that way. Domestic violence couples that are enthralled into an aggressive, abusive, volatile relationship, as ugly as it may appear to us on the outside, that is the way they communicate. It is. So, what does that tell us? Number one, if you have an opportunity to intervene on behalf of your sister, number one, first you need to pray. Number two, you need to approach her in a manner that is from love. Yeah. And number three, you need to stay with her until you get her to see that there is a better way. Can't get off that moment. That's the internal. That's the internal. Internal family violence, that is huge in the community. And it is escalating, and if we don't get our hands around it, if we don't change that culture of survival that we've been conditioned to believe that's all we need to do, then we are gonna have a long road to hoe. That's what they say in South Carolina when you got a lot of stuff to do. Y'all ever hold a rope before? You know that? Oh, y'all don't know nothing about that, do you? I know I look way too young. I know. But I've hold a roll to back. Wow. Say that again? Say wow. That's right, girl. You don't get like this, just dry along so doing nothing. They got a long road to hoe if we don't change that mentality that we are just here to exist. I am here today to tell you guys that we are more than just survivors. Amen. We have earned the right. We have earned our seat at the table as a contributor to society. Let me tell y'all, nothing happens unless a woman comes home. All right. I love my husband and he is the head of my household. But baby, make no mistake about it. If I was to dip out for a week, oh my goodness, some stuff it's gonna be some problem. So we need to let go of our culture and conditioning of just survival and take the right to be who we are, which are women, man. Stand up straight and don't become the ultimate victim. It is okay to stand up straight and to walk in this world as if you are not going to be anybody's prey, but also possess grace and humility. I was in a male-dominated field just like my sister over here for my whole entire career, and you know, not once did no one sexually harass me. What is going on? Everybody else is getting sexually harassed over here, not me. I was so mad. I'm like, well, what's wrong with me? Well, here's what's wrong. When I walk in a room, there is no doubt about why I'm coming. Number two, I don't slunch my shoulders and I don't look down.
That's right.
I walk with a purpose and I look people in the eye. Number one, because I don't see too well. But number two, I want to be able to identify you.
I know that's right.
In case you try to do a little something, something. When you accept who you are, when you accept the change in your soul. When I became the chief, I used to have theme music at work. Ooh, they hated me. I said, no, I didn't. You guys like, oh, wait a minute, now this is too far. But when you walk with the understanding of your self-worth and your value, every predator within 100-mile radius will flee. When I first got my black belt in jiu-jitsu, I used to go down to the mall, and I used to park way in the back 40, and I used to hang money out my pocket and stuff, and I used to walk to the party like, oh, I'm a victim, someone come get me. Couldn't get beat up for nothing. Because I had so culturally conditioned myself to put my shoulders back. Your mother ever told you stand up straight?
Yeah.
You ever want to stand up? Look them in the eye when you're talking to them. Shake my hand firmly.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right.
why mothers tell their kids that? Because they are part of the kingdom, the wild kingdom, and they are trying to make sure that their children don't become prey.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you what the wild kingdom is telling you. Listen, you are no longer in survival. You are more than just the remnants of what is left after the chaos. You are a woman of excellence, and it is now that you have to stand up and accept that, and then change your sister sitting next to you.
That's it.
You got to change. You got to be willing to knock on the door and tell. Look here, Shirley. I know what's going on. And I'm here to tell you that in my house you will find refuge. And I'm going to help you get help. You got to be willing to have these conversations. You got to be willing to talk about it out loud. You got to first accept that it's happening. And it's happening at a higher rate in the black community. Because what goes on in our house
Stays in the house.
Woo! What keeps us there? Fear. So, we've identified the number one danger to our family, internal, us, how we move. But now I want to go to number two quick, because I know y'all ready to get out here and get some food. But this is, I really want to talk about this. I know that's right. I heard stuff right. External danger. Facebook. Who has a Facebook account? Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Somebody said, let me ask you this. Of all the women and men in this room, how many of you have the responsibility of a child under the age of 16 for more than an hour a week? In their company, they're in your company. You are their caretaker, provider. You sit for them. Raise your hand up. Y'all like kids? It's all right. It's okay. It's not a trick, I promise. Now, of those same people, let me ask you this. Would you allow a known pedophile to be alone in your child's room with them? Just raise your hand. If the answer is yes, raise your hand. Okay. Let me ask you one more question. Do you guys know who Jeffrey Dahmer is? Or was? Right? Serial killer, right? Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. Would you be alone with Jeffrey Dahmer knowing what you know now? Alone in your room with him? You sure? How about you? You? Hmm? Sure. Y'all do it every day. Y'all do it every day. Hey, don't get mad. Y'all do it every day. When those television, smart TVs, you know what they are? Computers. Nintendo game system, computers. Laptop, computers. That phone in your hand, computer. If you are allowing a child to have an electronic device that connects to the World Wide Web and give them access to the outside community without adult supervision, you are allowing your child to be in his room alone with a known pedophile. Now go ahead, get mad, get it out, go ahead. I did not! Yes, you did. Me too. Until I knew better. Where my Facebook killers at? Y'all know people get brave online, don't they? When they think the world can't see what they're doing, I'm gonna tell you right now. Till you show up in person. I ain't mean none of that stuff I was typing. As adults, we do things online that we would never do in real life.
Right, you're right.
It's true. Cyber courage. Cyber courage. We do it. But this is the issue. Our children will suffer. Will suffer. Y'all, you know what geo-tracking is? You know what geographical identification location is?
Yes.
The FBI is serving warrants right now on people for child pornography who had no idea that they were in possession of it. When we go into a house with a search warrant and we are looking for child pornography and other crimes that are committed over the World Wide Web, we seize everyone's electronic device. We did there. We take grandma's phone, earbuds, or TV, Xbox, Nintendo. I take it all. Your children are going to websites that exist for one purpose and one purpose only: to attract them. And when it attracts them, the person on the other side geo-tracks their location. Your child is mined for a pedophile's use. They keep along with this. These are the geographical locations that log onto the site. This is the geographical location that I'm looking at. This is where I'll be next week. This is how many of them I'll have access to. How do I know I have access to them? Well, his mama put on Facebook that they're going to the Bahamas next week and she ain't taking the kids. Exactly.
Yep. Too much business out there.
It's real. Being a law enforcement in this technology age is so easy. I had to retire. It was just too easy. It's like catching fish with dynamite. It's ridiculous. Well, you did it on May the 2nd at 3 a.m. Yeah, exactly, in this room, exactly. Because you leave such a large digital footprint everywhere you go. But listen, your children, if you have a child, and you are not supervising them on that phone, on that tablet, on that laptop, on that smart TV, on that Nintendo, PlayStation, you are allowing pedophiles to be alone. And I want you to just understand that this